Okay, folks, we're here at the pension in Bayaspria, and we're gonna be walking up towards their property, and Dan went ahead and put on a traditional jacket for us. Wow. This is pretty amazing. And look at that view.
Oh, wow.
You see up from their pension is the magnificent view of Bayaspria. Wow, that is amazing. Okay. One of the traditional houses.
Asta este o casă minerească, o casă de pe la 1800.
That's from 1800, and people working in mines used to live in it.
Okay.
Am încercat să o păstrez așa cum a fost.
And to try to preserve it just the way it was.
Perfect. So this used to be a housing area for the local miners in this area, and he's preserved it for local tourists and international tourists in this very nice room. Just come out here and engage the tradition of this magnificent room. So, what can you tell us about this whole property?
Ce ne puteți spune despre?
Este o casă, în zona în care suntem noi aici, a fost un oraș minier.
Here it used to be like a place where a lot of miners would live and work.
Și am încercat să conserv o casă de aici, exact cum a fost atunci.
Preserve one house exactly the way it used to be.
Erau mai joase și mai mici ca să țină căldura.
They weren't so tall and they weren't very wide either because they were trying to preserve the heat.
Dar într-o casă de genul ăsta erau chiar câte 7-8 membri.
But in one house like that there were like 7-8 people living.
Și nu aveau nicio problemă de
And
conviețuire.
they had no problems communicating and living together.
Acum o să vă duc să vă arăt o casă de la 1750 de
He's
lemn.
gonna show us now another house from 1750.
Okay.
So we're off to another property dated 1750, and as I was saying, these are the types of experiences that you won't get to experience anywhere outside of Maramureș, Romania. So please make sure to connect with us via our YouTube channel so that if you would like to reach out to Dan and schedule a visit at this property, we will leave his contact information at the description section of this video blog.
Asta este o casă care a fost mutată de mai multe ori.
This house was moved several times.
Se făcea așa ca un Lego și fiecare lemn
It's like a Lego piece.
se îmbină fără niciun cui.
And there is no nails in it. They are just combined together, all the wood pieces.
E o casă care am adus-o chiar din inima Maramureșului.
Oh, brought it from the heart of Maramureș.
O casă în care vin oaspeții și stau să se liniștească.
A house where the guests just come to settle down and relax.
Acum este
and
ocupată,
enjoy.
dar o să intrăm un pic aici jos.
Oh, so there are some people living in there now, but we'll just enter a little bit.
Okay.
Putem doar un pic să intrăm, să fac un cadru atât.
Bună ziua!
Bună ziua! Crăciun fericit! So here is what it looks like inside. We're just giving you guys a quick showcase of the house, and we're gonna head on back out. They have some visitors here right now, so I just want to give you guys a quick view of this property, the very amazing, well-built property that is extremely traditional. Oh wow, look at that bed. Imagine laying down on that bed during the summer months. You know, if you want to be away from, you know, the hustle and bustle of a city, then this would be an ideal place to come out. They have a full-fledged kitchen, modern appliances, you know, amazing place. So, all right, mulțumesc. All right, so we are now back outside.
O să vă arăt o casă mai mică,
That's a smaller house over there.
dar în care a trăit o femeie care avea 98 de ani.
There was a woman who lived there. She lived for 90 years old.
Oh wow. Okay. So, if they were to come out and schedule a visit, how soon or how much time you need for a visit?
Cam de cât timp e nevoie când vrea cineva să facă o vizită? Adică, nu știu, e nevoie de un anumit timp ca să vă organizați sau...
Da, nu, ne sună și noi ne pregătim.
They just call and they get
Avem
ready.
pachete de câte o săptămână în care
They have 1 week packages.
ei vin nu numai să stea în casă, vin și să învețe să gătească, să învețe să
in
olărească.
that 1 week they stay in these houses, but they also learn how to cook traditional food, to work with clay.
E foarte important când stau aici să renunțe la tehnologie.
And it's important while they stay here to give up the technology.
Excellent. So, this is another house, and it's fully loaded. You know, like I was saying, the appliances are what you would normally see in a modern property, but the traditional architecture and the ambience of this whole room.
Dacă vom face liniște, vă o să auzim și cum merge focul.
If we don't say anything for a while, we're gonna hear the fire inside the stove.
Okay, so there's actually fire in there, and we shall see. Oh, there it is. Wow, you can actually hear the crackling of the wood. So,
Am obiecte de la bunicul meu.
Oh, this belonged to his grandfather.
very,
Some objects here.
very interesting. It's like walking back in time with a luxurious feel to it. You know, sometimes you go around the world and you travel and you feel as if you're missing out on the amenities of, you know, the modern life. But here, you don't feel that. You don't even sense it. It's like, you know, you go into the history books and get to live the past luxuriously. You know, this is where the high end of modern fused with tradition kind of, you know, connected during, you know, the age of discovery of Romania.
Acum
This is amazing.
Să vă duc să vă arăt o casă de piatră.
Now we're gonna go see a stone house.
1900.
1900.
Okay. So Daniel is, like I was saying, he was brought to America by the Cultural Center of Romania in New York because they wanted to showcase Maramureș as a travel destination. They specifically wanted that, you know, traditional influence to be showcased in America because, you know, we don't get to experience these kinds of things back in the States.
Oh, that's an oven.
So here's an oven. He's putting some wood in there.
Aici să facem diseară pâine.
So during the times, medieval times, and even, you know, back in the old days, this is how they would cook outside and it's a a brick oven actually, and it looks just like a pizza oven, and it feels so traditional. It just the whole setup of this oven is what made it so unique, right? So remember when we would read about history of Central and Eastern Europe, we don't really get to experience this kind of life. Now we do. As Americans, we get to come here and visit with Dan. And Dan is probably one of the best hosts that you will ever meet. Like I was saying, we kind of just showed up here, and he was, very hospitable enough to show us his shop as well as his properties. I met Dan when he came to Washington, D.C. a few months ago because he was there to also experience American culture and American tradition, and he got to visit museums in New York and in Washington, D.C. So now he's sharing his way of life and his tradition and culture with America, and specifically with the rest of the world, because I believe the rest of this planet would know about Maramuresh, Romania, Baia and Dan Lesh.
Asta este o casă de piatră.
So this is basically made out of stone, and everything's concrete. Basically, a very traditional area. And in other parts of Europe, you can't stay in those wooden houses and traditional properties because they were specifically preserved by the cultural ministry or the local government in those parts of the world. But here, you can actually live and stay here. Okay, you can get a package. I believe they said that there's weekly package that is available to be able to live in this kind of property. So it's not off limits to tourists. They just would like for people to give them a heads up at least a couple of weeks in advance before coming. But this is an amazing experience. I've been all over Europe and I've never seen a house where you can actually live and experience the ambience of that culture back in the days. And so Dan is an amazing host. We're gonna make sure to also include this video on TripAdvisor, so you can just go ahead and connect with Dan. And he's very knowledgeable about history. He's one of the most hospitable hosts that I've ever met, and we are truly blessed to have him as a host.
Acolo să vedem o sală în care facem seara întâlniri.
So this is another large room where they congregate and be around friends and family. Oh wow. Whew. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I know it's gonna cause a lot of jealousy back in the States for people to want to come here. They would want to experience this kind of lifestyle, because these types of experiences are not very common in societies that are fairly large in modern cities. Here you actually feel the tradition and the quality of life of the population. So imagine this, we only get to see this in movies. We don't get to see this in real life. And now Dan is showcasing what we would normally see on movies here right now in modern, society. So all that. Look at these things. This is well preserved. Okay. All right, Dan. Thanks so much. Is there anything else you would like to share?
Mai mulți oameni, dacă vreți să mai spuneți ceva.
Sunt bucuros că în fiecare sezon oameni de peste tot din lume încalcă pragul.
He's happy that during all seasons people from all over the world come see him.
Ei descoperă o altă lume
And they discover another world,
mai liniștită
more calm, quiet.
și lucrul cel mai important este din când în când să ne facem timp și pentru
And
suflet.
the most important thing is that from time to time we need to have time for our souls.
Mulți care vin odată revin și
And-
următorii ani.
And sometimes people come here once and then they keep coming.
Și nu numai că merg cu amintiri frumoase de aici, merg și cu vase făcute de mâna lor.
And they live not only with good memories, but with pots made by their own hands.
În tot acest timp, ei gustă din obiceiurile noastre, participă la obiceiurile
And
noastre.
during all these times, they can have a sense of the tradition here, and they are part of it.
E foarte important să le arate copiilor și celor tineri cum s-a trăit acum 100 de ani.
It's very important for them to show their kids and the young ones the way people used to live years ago.
În seara asta aici o să fie o șezătoare,
And tonight they are going to have a gathering here,
o să vină mai mulți,
and there will be several people coming,
o să fie o seară de colinzi,
and they will have carolings
de poezie
and poetry
și multe povești.
and a lot of stories.
Este hrana pentru suflet.
It's food for soul.
Definitely.
Mulțumesc că mi-ați călcat pragul.
Mulțumim și
Perfect.
noi.
Well, Crăciun fericit și la mulți ani.
Crăciun
Mulțumesc
fericit.
pentru tour, nu?
Tur.
Tour. Și hopefully we can do more.
Sperăm să putem face mai mult, adică să popularizeze
Mulțumesc
locul
că
și
m-ați vizitat.
thank
Mulțumesc.
you for
Okay.
visiting.